This is the Storied Outdoors, a podcast somewhere between Lewis and Tolkien and Lewis and Clark, finding clarity in the stories we tell and the adventures that shape us. Welcome to the Storied Outdoors. In this episode, man, I'm excited to be joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host, Brian Gill. But today we're honored to sit down with Trent Ellis, somebody I've been interested in talking to for a little while now. He's brought a lot of laughter into my life with his content and a lot of perspective, and I always enjoy what he puts out. I guess some would call him a social media influencer. Is that accurate, Trent? Is that an accurate?
Yeah, I don't really know what it is, to be honest with you. If I influence anybody in any way, it could be dangerous.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
if you want to
enough.
call it that, fine.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Hey, if
That's
you
fair
were
enough.
influenced, that's on you.
Yeah, I'm just a redneck recorder. Okay, I just record myself,
it.
being myself, doing redneck stuff, man.
I love it. I love it. Well, Trent's a father. He's an outdoorsman. He's a husband. Man, it's just watching your content. You just seem like our kind of people. And some of the podcasts that I've heard you on. And so I'm excited to dive into some of your story and how you got started and just hear from you, brother. So welcome.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, guys. Yeah. I mean, the way that I got started with all this, first of all, I have, ever since I killed my first deer when I was 9, I was bitten by the hunting bug that I was obsessed with it. Super, super passionate about hunting and the outdoors. And then, when I got out of the Marines in 2017, I started turkey hunting. I killed my first bird in 2018. And then that took over me. So instead of just hunting 4 months out of the year, I'm now hunting 6. And I guess ever since 2018, I've really thought, like, man, how in the world can I live in the woods and pay my bills? And so my wife and I got into forestry, and she finished with it. I got out of it after my 3rd year, and it was my first year at Mississippi State, and I got into insurance and investments. And I said, well, the heck with, doing all this. I can work this industry and make my own hours and hunt 5 days a week. And heck, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. And I still do that. But I guess it was August 20. I always get this mixed up. I think it was August the 24th of 2023. I downloaded TikTok, and I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna upload 2 videos a day for 7 days, and if I don't hate it, I'm just gonna keep going. And she was giving me heck about it. She's like, you don't respect these guys that do that. Why are you wanting to do all this mess? And I said, honey, I just heard a podcast of a boy I didn't even know about till last month. Been doing it 2 years, making 25 grand a month. I said, I got all kind of harebrained ideas that I know at least Southern people can relate to.
Right.
I said, so let me just try it for 7 days. And if we can make $1 or $2 on it in 10 years, great. And man, I'm going to tell you what the financial industry taught me. It really helped me with this, because it was basically being persistent and consistent without seeing the reward right now. And the activity, just keeping that going. And so I said, man, in that first week, I did some stuff. And if you look back to my first, 14 videos, you probably go like, oh, dadgum. But I mean, it was fun. I was doing Southern phone calls, and man, after that, like 6th video, I was over at my uncle's. I'll never forget it. And we was having a fish fry or something over there, and one of his buddies, Shane, come up to me and he said, "Man," he said, "that crap's so funny." He said, "That sounds just like us when we on the phone, dude. You know, you sitting there, all right, yeah, yeah, all right, yeah." I mean, and that kind of reaction, um, it just kind of fueled the fire of like, man, there's
Sure.
people that get this. There's people that enjoy this. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, I just kept going, and the good Lord blessed us with it and allowed enough people to look at it. And, here we are. We steadily trying to, do 6 shorts a week and, throw in a YouTube video or two a week and just focused on the work, man. I can't tell you what's going to be next year or five
Yeah.
years or 10 years, but
Right.
all I'm focused on is the work right now. But we're loving it, man. We're working hard and wore out, but we're gonna keep going. So
Yeah.
Well, it's funny stuff, man. You've really hit a niche there, and I think that you know your audience. You know the people who are. I mean, I feel like it's not like a stretch. This is kind of stuff that's like you're not just having to make up content. This is stuff that you may have lived, you know.
yeah, most of it is. Most of it is. I mean, especially, and I'm gonna do more dad stuff this week. I have seen so many people relate and hate my daddy stuff that I do, and
Oh, did he?
90% of it has been lived from me. The only thing that hadn't been lived is when I do something about hunting with daddy. My daddy was not he didn't raise us as hunters. He was working, and didn't have time for any of that.
Yeah.
And his brother was the one that got us into it. But everything else, man, when it comes to discipline or it comes to coming in and, turn that hat around or I'll burn it and you won't never wear another hat. I never had long hair growing up. But all that kind of stuff, dude, I lived it. Like my dad still to this day, he'll be 60 next month. And if he gets kind of upset, I get nervous still. Like I'm nearly 30. I'll be 30 in a few months, and I still to this day I'm 2 inches taller than him, and I outweigh him by probably 20 pounds. And if he was any other man, wouldn't sweat him at all. But because he's my daddy, it's like is when he does that little, I can't do it. But when he does that little, nose and I can tell he's agitated about something, whether it's me or anything. I just have shivers that go down my spine, and it's
Just
just
pucker
like
up
the
a little
most.
bit.
Yeah, it's the most uncomfortable feeling ever, and I'm just
Uh,
like, man, this doesn't feel right. I need to go home. Do something.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
My dad sang in the choir, and like when my sister and I'd be acting up in church, I could get a look from dad from the choir loft, and I was like,
It
oh,
communicated everything you needed to
everything. And
know.
I was like, as soon as we get home from Golden Corral, I'm gonna get it.
yeah. Golden Corral or New China Buffet.
Yeah, either
Yeah.
one of them.
Either
That's
one.
right. That's right. Yeah, man. I always used to get. I didn't always used to get it because Daddy whooped you one time, and that you wouldn't get whooped again for another 6 months to a year, just because you remembered that one. But he would. I remember a couple times as a kid growing up in church, be sitting right there beside you, and you'd do something too loud or move too much, and he'd look over, and you'd feel that nice big palm come right there on the back side of your neck, and
Hmm.
just do a reverse chokehold on your neck, and just whisper, "You do that again, we're going outside." You know. And you just sitting there thinking, I don't really believe my daddy's a Christian. He's got way too much hate in his heart.
Too much
But
angst.
yeah, yeah, but that was it, man. So yeah, all of that kind of stuff, brother. I've lived it, and I think I've told tons of people this. There are so many people that I know that are way more creative and way funnier and have way better stories than I do. Um, I'm just one of the very few that don't mind putting it out there to the public and recording myself,
Yeah.
because we got some characters in every single small town in
Absolutely.
the southeast, brothers. Y'all know that.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I think that's why it makes what you do so relatable. I mean, because you're hitting
Yeah.
on these stories, and people can see themselves, or they can see somebody that they know in these, in these things. And I love it, man.
Doesn't
Yeah.
It's fun
doesn't
stuff.
doesn't that hit on the success of like the Redneck Comedy Tour with Foxworthy and those guys? All that stuff was funny because it was real,
Yeah.
and we all
Yeah.
knew that. We all knew those people, and
Yeah.
they just happened to have the perspective to see that it was funny and present it in a funny way, and it cracks you up. And like I think back to like one of the ones that made me laugh was your seating chart at the church. Like that was hilarious, but it's kind of true.
Somewhat true, ain't it?
Yeah.
I had so many people message me over that or comment like I'm back row and we're nothing like this or I'm front row and our kids aren't homeschooled or
Homeschooled, yeah.
I mean, but it is it's funny, and I'll be sitting in church, man, and I never do it during the service, but when the music's over with and the preacher's walking up there, the good Lord seems every other Sunday to put something on my heart. And I'm like, oh crap, that'd be a good skit. And I have to go with my notes in my phone real quick before he gets up there on the mic and I type it in. I'm like, all right, there we go. Get my Bible out. We're ready. But that I did that day. I was just kind of looking around and we were literally, y'all, we were in the very back row up against the
Oh wow.
wall that the sound guys are on right
Oh
here.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we are as back row as you can get. And and my family don't drink. We're more of like the Christian cussers, like people that love Jesus but's gonna say shit every now and then and stuff like that. I mean, we're not perfect, but everybody in my family's rough. I'll be honest with you, but we're good people. Okay, and but yeah, I just thought about that and I was looking around and I was like, I got to make a video about this. Um, and yeah, I've had a lot of people, comment on that stuff and the business meetings, the church business
Woo.
meetings.
Woo.
I
Son.
did a video one time talking about an or maybe it wasn't a video, maybe I was on a podcast or something, and I was talking about an old lady in one of our churches falling out in a business meeting. Like she fake passed out because we were talking about doing a traditional
Changes. Oh.
service and a contemporary service.
Oh
Uh-oh.
no. Oh
And
no.
people standing up, I'm talking about hollering and it was so, forgive me, Lord, it was so great to witness. I mean, it was one of the, it was like all the kids, all my friends, we were just like, dude, we are so going to be at the next business meeting. Like, when's the next business meeting? This is awesome. And all of a sudden, just to my right, like 20 yards, this old lady, and she passes out and she gets carried out by people sitting next to her by under her arms and her feet and everything. And turns out she's fine. She's faking it, I think. And they never come back. I think it's good people though. They just didn't agree. And but it was, yeah, like that kind of stuff. I remember people commenting on that and whatever it was. And it was like, that's Miss So and so. I remember
I know that
that.
person. Yeah. I bet
But
I can't imagine you say the comments on that like I'm sure you get a wide range of interaction, with
yeah,
people that take stuff real serious and get angry about it.
well, I mean, you're I feel like the way that we were raised and the way that we raise our children is for the most part probably the norm around here, but it's always the what do they call it, the squeaky wheel gets the grease,
Mm.
and all that, and your keyboard warriors are the ones that put the most comments out there.
Mhm.
So anytime that you talking about spanking kids, you talking about a daddy that was sarcastic and rough on
Oh
you
yeah.
growing up, you talk about hunting, you do anything like that, hard nosed, conservative, whatever the case, especially God fearing, do any kind of God fearing, and you're gonna have you're
Lots of
gonna have folks.
opinions.
Yeah, and you so you have when you do the majority of your content around those three or 4, whatever, you're gonna have a lot of people come in there commenting,
Yeah.
"Oh, if I had a daddy like you, I'd have beat the crap out of him," or it sounds like you had a terrible childhood. Sound like this is what's wrong with today and everything like that.
Mm.
And it's like, well, if all of you had my daddy, there would be no mass shootings.
Mm.
Yeah.
If I I would have made those cops kill me, because if I went to school and did anything, I mean, I was just we all had especially me and my core group of friends that I hung out with, 5 or 6 of us at school, all of us had a healthy fear of our father. We did not. I mean, we were boys and we acted up every now and then, but I mean, we were all very aware that if we pushed the envelope too much, our fathers would lay violent hands on us to make sure they beat the prison out of us.
Mm.
And every
Beat the
one of
prison.
us has come to has been, good Christian fellows that are doing good things in society, working jobs, and and being doing some kind of service or whatever for the community, just being normal. And it's like, but that kind of raising, and everything, that kind of subject, those subjects are very unpopular, in
Right.
today's society.
Yeah.
And so people love to tell you how wrong you are on that. But hey, I hope they keep commenting, because it pays me. So keep on commenting.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it's the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
You can say what you want, but you guys are contributing individuals that never did anything like that, and there's something to be
Yeah.
said about an engaged father.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
when engaged in discipline that loved you, and those folks that have never experienced that, they don't really know and appreciate what that means.
Well, I tell this to everybody, and he probably don't want me to, because my dad hates to be bragged on or have any kind of sympathy thrown his way. Um, but my dad, his brother and his sister, he was the oldest of three, and they had a very, very, very had an amazing mother, but they had a very alcoholic, abusive daddy.
Mm.
So all my dad knew growing up from the time he was 0 to, you know, 14, 15 years old was violence.
Wow.
And the only thing that, has kept my mama from leaving him at times and stuff like that and him being a good human being is Jesus Christ when he got saved when he was 15.
Mm.
Wow.
And I don't paint that picture to say that my dad was a bad guy, but and he's not. He's an amazing father. He's a crazy good granddaddy, but which is kind of pisses me off a little bit, to be honest with you. But
Where was that guy when I was
yeah,
growing up?
yeah, yeah, and but yeah, I mean, he gave us what he wanted, and he couldn't go out in the yard and play catch with us and stuff. He just couldn't relate to it, at the time. And he gave us what he wanted, which was a man that wasn't going to beat our mama, going to love us, and train us to be, good God fearing men, and keep the lights on and just do the basic stuff that he dreamed of having as a kid. That he got none of that. I mean,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of men that grow up like that. A lot of men that grow up in that kind of situation, and they either choose to do the same thing or they choose to turn from it, and every one of them have deep, deep scars. So that's why a lot of the stuff, that's why I am the way I am. I'm kind of rough around the edges sometimes, and all that is just because that's kind of our background. And every man in on the Ellis side, every as far as we can remember, had the same exact and worse upbringing. And
Wow.
so that's like I said. People ask me all the time. They're like, "Man, how do you come up with this stuff?" It's like being born into a crazy bloodline. I mean, you got
Got all
eventually
the
somebody's
material in
gonna
the
put it on
world.
camera. Yeah, yeah. So
Well,
I don't know where all that come from, but anyway.
how do you yeah, I mean, you got a lot going on. You're a father, you're a husband, you got this platform. How do you balance all of this? What
I
kind of
don't.
do you have anything like an outlet that you're able to kind of turn it off, or is it always on?
It's right now. It's always on, and that's you know I'm still new in the game, and it is difficult and very stressful because I used to be so I used to get so angry at people who were bad at communicating, and and now I've turned into that person because I've got a ton of people texting and calling. I've got a ton of emails. I've got a ton of messages on every kind of platform. I've got all this kind of stuff, which is nothing but a blessing. But between that and the output for work, I still have my investment business that I'm doing and dealing with clients on and stuff like that. Sitting down and doing podcasts. As soon as we get done with this, I have 2 long forms to edit on YouTube, and I've got to shoot the rest of the week's videos. Um, and above all of that, I'm a husband and a father.
Hmm.
So, you know, and I'm the sole provider of the house, which is what I asked for. That's what I want. I'm not complaining. So no, right now I have no balance. It's full throttle all the time, and I will figure it out. I will figure out a way in the future to get balanced, to get this thing a lot more organized. But guys, I got to be honest with you. The way that I look at it, man, is that I could be working a normal job Monday through Friday, like we'll say 70% of the rest of the American men in this population in this country, and hating living for the weekend and hating what I do, or doing something, being a coal mine in West Virginia or Alabama or wherever, you know. There's so many other things that I could be doing. So if I'm stressed out about doing what I love, why I have no room to complain at all. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
even though there's not balance right now, I'm not going to sit over here and say, well, I ain't balanced. I got to do something here. This is just getting ridiculous. It's like, hey, remember, you had 500 people come up to you at NWTF to shake your hand, get autographs, and take a picture. You need to sit back and shut up and just keep working.
Hmm.
All right. That's at least what my daddy would say.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, you're probably right. you know? So, but that to answer your question, no, right now I don't, but hopefully, I will soon.
Well, that's good
So,
that you enjoy what you're doing. I think that helps.
hmm yeah, I think it's, one of these things that I look at with this is that no matter what kind of business a guy does or a gal does, unless they get extremely lucky, I feel like there's a 5 to 10 year grind of really building that thing to where before, because everybody sees that person when they've put in all that time, and it's like they have the easiest life in the world.
Mhm.
It's like, well, they do now because they sacrificed all these years of paycheck security. They
Mhm.
sacrificed time with family. They sacrificed all this kind of stuff to go out and build something. So but if you do what you love, to me it's worth it. Because I'd rather grind as hard as I can and not be sure what I'm gonna get paid month to month, week to week, or whatever, um, and build something for me and my family that we can really enjoy 5 to 10 years from now for the next 30 or 40, than settle for comfort and security
Yeah.
for the next 40 years and just live for the weekend. You
Yeah.
know, so
It's
yeah,
like that, wouldn't it? I think it's always attributed to Truett Cathy of like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
yeah,
And so if you're doing what you love and you're not really working, you're really enjoying what you're doing.
yeah. Well, I've said this on the last 10 podcasts, man. Alex Hermosi has the best quote for any kind of entrepreneur that I've ever heard. And it's, if you focus on the work, the goals, the 500 acres in the Mississippi Delta, or whatever the case is, that's what mine is. That will eventually come if you just focus on the week's work. If you make the goal not the outcome, but if you make the goal the work, The real goals will become a reality.
Mm.
And that's why I said earlier, all I'm focused on, I have no idea what the future holds, but all I'm focused on is 6 shorts a week right now and 1 to 2 videos on YouTube a week. So, and just let the good Lord, I mean, there's a good chance I'm going to be canceled, in the next year. You know what I mean? Like if y'all listen to my stuff, I mean, I say some,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I shoot at turkeys flying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I talk about Trump. I talk about Jesus. I mean, I am not the poster child of Facebook, okay, and the
Right.
rest of society. So I don't know. I don't
Sure.
know what lies ahead. But all I know is that as long as I don't get canceled and just focus on the work, we'll be ahead of where we are right now in 5 years from now.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
Well, it seems
but
like a huge majority of people appreciate your perspective. So
I'm grateful.
yeah,
It shows me that there's we're still the majority. I would
yeah,
call the normal folks. The normal folks are still the majority. We're just a lot of time we're just real quiet, you
yeah.
know.
Mm.
So
Is there a particular story where like hunting content and comedy like clashed, and you were like, there it is, like that's the thing that I'm gonna do, that really like hit hard?
are you talking about when I started videoing?
Yeah.
I kind of knew when I started that I wanted it to be around hunting and I wanted it to be comedic. But my first video that did good was, and I have to tell people this too. I'm not trying to hide anything or hide any kind of help that I've received, but Justin Nunley was nice enough to take a FaceTime DM off Instagram from me back September of 2023. So right after I started, I
Yeah.
shot him a message, shot him a paragraph message, didn't think he would respond. And he did. And he's the one that taught me about the hook, first 3 seconds of a video. And he just gave me a couple of tips on don't compare yourself to other people and channels, and don't have expectations of what you should be at this certain, just
Mm.
kind of like Alex Ramosi says, focus on the work. Just do the work, make every try to make the next video better than the last,
Mm.
and
Mm.
make those 3 seconds, those first 3 seconds of the video, you got to make it to where when they're scrolling on that For You page, you're doing something that makes them stop. So I would say it was probably September or October of that year. I had a buddy of mine, John Hill. He was over at the house and we were doing something, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if you help me film a video? I want you to be in it too." And we did a video of, I was playing the 2 characters, and I videoed John walking up as the landowner. And it was me and my character talking about, yeah, we got permission to hunt this. Let's go, you know. And the other boy was like, hey, there's a fence right here. It's like, oh, it don't matter, you know. Well, so it was one of those situations. And right before I crossed the fence, I filmed John coming in like, hey, what are y'all doing? And it's we're getting caught poaching, and my buddies led me astray saying he's got permission on this land, and clearly he don't. Okay, we just got caught poaching. So that video, I remember in like 4 days on TikTok. I can't remember what it did on Facebook, but on TikTok it did like 650, or in 2 days it did like 650,000 views. And
Wow.
I was like, holy cow. Like, I may be on to something here.
Yeah.
I may be
Wow.
on to the hunting content, and it's a little bit controversial, but it's funny. And I think, and people in the comments were just, man, that's my buddy, this guy, or we've done that, that's happened to me, and
Yes.
it was relatable. And so that's when I knew that, like, hey, I need to start I need to start focusing on stuff that's not necessarily as like funny to watch, but I need to make sure that number one, it's relatable,
Hmm.
and people want to share it to a friend and say, "This is Greg," or "This is whoever," "This is me," or "This is you," whatever.
Yeah.
And then secondly, try to make that as animated and as funny as I can. So yeah, that's kind of when
That's good.
yeah.
Did you, I grew up in the age of like Bill Dance Outdoors, Hank Parker, watching those guys on TV, and they'd always, not necessarily Hank, but like Bill Dance, he'd always have a blooper roll or something like that at the end of the show, or man, but his bloopers would crack me up so much. And then I had the VHS tapes of TK and Mike Outdoors,
Oh,
I,
yes.
and but so
yeah.
like this combination of hunting and comedy and fishing and comedy, it really hits, man, and it cracks me up every time I see these things. And so yeah, I mean, I think that being able to touch into that culture and allow people to see themselves or others, you're onto something, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I just like I said, I'm there's so much. If you've been an outdoorsman and in this industry, not in the industry, but in this environment, like most people around here have, you just grow up with content. You just have to sit down for 5 minutes and think, and you'll remember, and you'll come up with three concepts right there. Just like you talking about fishing. I mean, as soon as you said that, I thought I have to make a video this week of my daddy teaching me to throw a bait caster for the first time.
Oh, gosh.
That's got a lot of content opportunity right there.
You know what I mean? Like every boy that has asked his daddy, "Daddy, I want to get a bait caster. I want to learn how to do." No, son, you look. And then when they finally do it, and you right there,
Like a
yeah.
bird's nest.
Good God, son, I told you, put your thumb on that thing. My gosh, son. I mean that like that right there. You know, there's just if you're in this environment, I would say for 2 years, you've got 10 years worth of content you can put out a week.
Golly, so good,
uh,
so true.
yeah, yeah, but
What is one of the things that we really like dig into or like to dig into in this conversation is as you've done this now for a few years and you're a believer trying to walk with the Lord, trying to be a good dad. What are some things that you've learned as you've reflected on it? And how has it changed you? Ultimately, how is it like changing perhaps for the better?
golly, man, that's a deep question for this guy. I mean, I think one of the things that I've dealt with the most from growing up to the military to now, is I've always been a very angry person.
Hmm.
Always struggled with that. Um, and I mean, I guess the biggest thing is having to look, like I said earlier, is I feel like we get caught up so many times and we forget how good we got it. And speaking of myself, I've caught myself and whether it comes to like we're talking about with the unbalanced, or whether we're talking about bad comments. I don't have as thick a skin as I'd like. I
Yeah.
got into it. I said something extremely rude um, to Jeff Sterner, the owner of Prairie Hill Sporting Club in Texas, 3 weeks ago, uh, because he was ragging on me a little bit, and it was perfectly warranted. He didn't say anything out of line, but because I had messed up and I was already mad at myself, I let what he was saying to me get on top of me. And I said something just I should have been knocked in the teeth for, and and I slept on it. And I got up and I was like, "Man, you're an idiot," and I apologized and everything, but um, stuff like that. We like to beat our chest and we like to say things like, I don't care what anybody thinks about me or whatever. And that's a complete line of horse crap right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it would be, I don't know. I really don't know that I wouldn't say that there has been a better change in me in the last year and a half that I've been doing this, man. I have figured out a lot of things about myself, like this kind of stuff in the last year and a half. But you want to talk about looking at a project? You looking at one right here. You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, I've got some demons in the closet. And I work on stuff. I try to work on stuff every week. Um, but it it kind of makes you, when you get a little bit of that, I hate to even say fame, but when you go to Walmart and people recognize you,
Right.
and you do that, time and time and again, um, you have to continually remind yourself when you get in a bad mood or a down and out or this or that, or somebody, you know, sees you and they just make a complete fool of themselves about, they kind of get on your nerves or annoying. It's like you do have to tell yourself, like, dude, you need to be thankful. You need to be thankful for something, that somebody actually knows your name and cares that they know your name. You know, um, but yeah, I would say I'm. Yeah, I mean, I know that's not what you're looking for, brother, but I really don't. I don't think that I have a positive change in the last year or two, or the last year and a half. I just I can tell you there's one thing that I really want to work on, and that's, or have tried to, and we'll exercise that this Saturday, and that's not being selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've told everybody for the last 5 years since I've been killing birds. When you kill birds and people see it, and you're doing it on public, you get phone calls. Hey man, when we going? And it could be people you ain't talked to in 10 years, or it could be your best friend, whatever. And I've told everybody, like, hey, I'm getting one first. I'm not taking you. Once I get one down this year, then I'll take you. And so this Saturday, I'll be taking a guy from church, and I haven't killed. I just killed, but I hadn't killed a Mississippi bird. And that's like just foreign to me. It's like, why in the world would I go over here and waste a spot on this guy? But hey, it's like, and it's still inside of me. It's like, dude, I know I just went down to Florida and killed one, but man, I don't have, private ground really to hunt up here in Mississippi for myself. All I got is so I need to get on a bird. I'm trying to do my slam this year, and then I caught myself. I literally was thinking about this coming back from Florida, and I caught myself, and I was like, dude, you just hear that? You're working on a slam in 1 year. This guy's got to work.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I'm working on right now.
Well, Ben, you
Almost.
said you said that you don't see much of a positive change, but the fact that you went and apologized to that guy after you said something that you shouldn't have said, that takes a lot of humility to do that. Not a lot of men apologize. They just kind of sit on
No.
it and let it fester, and it ends up becoming a lot bigger than it should have been. But man, men apologizing to other men, that's unheard
Powerful.
of.
Yeah.
Well, I've had plenty of practice at it. Okay, I'll tell you that. I'm not foreign to having to apologize.
No, it's
But
not
that's
fun at all.
that's why I feel like me, my father, um, my brother, and my uncle. You've got folks that more than likely are on one of two spectrums. They absolutely love us, and they'd take a bullet for us, or they'd put 10 bullets in us. You got one of the, so we're, yeah, that's kind of, it's one of those things, man. But yeah, I've always spoke my mind, but I've tried to at least be like, you need to admit when you're wrong.
Yeah.
And So I try to practice that when I'm wrong and I know I'm wrong and they know
Yeah.
I'm wrong. It's like, hey, I'm wrong. I was wrong in that situation. I'm sorry. But yeah, like I said, man, I've had plenty of practice at it, so I ought to be good at apologizing.
I,
Being
I,
good at apologizing is not a positive quality. I'm just going to tell you. All right, Brian, it's not.
I, I
Oh,
will, I will say this, like the constant exercise to find the comedy in a situation, like to bring laughter to not only yourself, but to other people. I know that's, got to be somewhat fulfilling.
it's very fulfilling.
To see
Yeah.
people crack up, over your stuff, or that comments like, "Dude, that is so and so, man, that made me laugh so hard." I mean, that has to be, you
Yeah.
know,
The only problem is that a really, I feel like for the most part, a really good comedian is also going to have a sample of people that you really piss off.
yeah, yeah, that's
Because
true.
for it to be a good joke, somebody's got to be at the butt end of it.
Somebody's
I mean,
Yeah,
toes
a
gonna
lot
get
of
stepped
times,
on.
yeah,
yeah, there's gonna be some toes get stepped on, so that's the only caveat. But
like the
it is,
homeschoolers on the front row.
yeah. And our worship leader, he come up to me and he said, dude, he said we watched that video, and he said my son looked at me and he said, Dad, is he talking about us? But and I told him, I said, man, I said, look, and he said, no, dude, you didn't offend us, dude. He said it was funny as crap, but I've also had right the opposite of that.
Yeah.
But it's very rewarding when you meet people or they message you or something, and they say, man, you sound, I just got a comment while we're sitting there doing this on YouTube, and it said, you say golly just like my late father did. Like just stuff like that. When you're putting stuff out to where people can relate to, I enjoy that people find my stuff relatable more than anything. You know, um, but everybody's got their style. But that's yeah. As long as I can be relatable, it's extremely fulfilling for me.
Man,
That's
that's
awesome.
awesome.
I love it.
One of the questions we like to ask our guests is, you're doing this bird hunting, but you also have a ton of this content coming out, and um, adventure can look different ways. But what would be your next adventure?
Next adventure.
Yeah, it could be a
You going
hunt or it could be a series you're looking at doing. What does that look like for you?
Oh man. Um, I really don't know. All I do know is that I really want to get more into the long form
Mm.
YouTube. Y'all know what I'm saying when I say long form?
Yo, yeah.
Some of our people might not. So can you give that a little bit of
Okay.
explanation?
Yeah, so long form is, like shorts are what I do on Facebook, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and TikTok. It's all
Yeah.
comedy skits, or some of it may be serious sometimes, but it's under 3 minutes.
Hmm.
Anything over 3 minutes would be considered a long form video.
I love it.
And and all of my long form is on my YouTube channel. I don't really post any kind of long form because most of it is involving shooting, or something like some kind of hunting or outdoors stuff or whatever. So I only post it on YouTube. But I would really, I'd like to keep my continuous comedy schedule, of 6 shorts a week, for all the other platforms and for my audience there. But I really am liking video and hunts, video and going bow fishing, shooting, blowing up
Cool.
cars. I mean, we blew
Huh.
up right here behind the house, a few miles back. We blew up 3 cars in Tanner.
What?
Yeah. So I mean
What was
that's
what was the impetus for that? You know what we ought to do, boys? We ought
yeah.
to blow
Well,
up a car.
one of the guys that is way funnier than me, and if a camera would follow him around and just make sure um, that he wasn't doing whatever he was doing illegally at the time, okay, which he doesn't practice a lot, but he called me And we were talking about some stuff, and I was talking about wanting to do a video, and I think I was talking about blowing something. I was wanting to blow something up, and he said, "Hey, I got a buddy that's got a camper. I guarantee we can blow up." So that led into him contacting that buddy. We knew the same guy, and we couldn't blow up the camper, but he was a mechanic here locally, and in this county, or it may be a statewide thing. I don't know, but if somebody doesn't pay their bill in like 3 months, you can
90
go to the
days.
courthouse. That's it. You can go to the courthouse and pay like $5, and you
Yep.
own the vehicle now.
That's right.
So essentially, what we had is we blew up 3 dopeheads cars, and in the middle of a cutover, and we I went and bought like $600 worth of tannerite from Academy, and we did like 20 something pounds on the first one. I think we did like maybe 30 something pounds on the second one, and I want to say that last one, I can't remember what that last one was. It was small increments that we went up, but we ended up, I want to say, on the last vehicle we took a tractor, and we stacked two of those cars on top of one another, and we blew it up, shot it and blew it up. But
Huh.
yeah, I mean, I just thought like my premise for basically everything starts on, especially on long form, is am I going to enjoy this? Am I
Yeah.
going to
Right.
enjoy filming, putting it on YouTube, and then watching it myself? And if that passes the test, then I say, all right, now how many others would actually enjoy this?
Right.
And I don't believe I'm a dud. So I feel like if I'm gonna enjoy watching it, there's at least 4 or 5 other folks that would too. So
Yep.
that's what I go off of, man. So I would like for my long form to be kind of my adventure,
Mhm.
Brian. I would like for that to be where people come to find out who I really am, really
Mhm.
not exaggerated.
Mhm.
Because on my shorts, I'm very exaggerated, whether I'm doing me or my father, or my wife or whatever. And on YouTube, it's just me,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And I'd like for it to continue to be more of like a vlog style. It's
Yeah.
obviously it's the furthest thing from any kind of TV show quality, or I don't have any music, I don't have fancy editing or cameras, or I've just got, sometimes it's with this cell phone, sometimes it's with a Sony not Handycam, but AX 700 or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm just wanting it to be as relatable, as raw, and just, I would like for my audience 10 years from now not to watch me a lot because I do so many cool things. It's just because I've got a group of folks that love Trent Ellis,
Hmm.
and what he's got going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
yeah,
Well,
that's
And
it.
that's
you're going
cool.
for the slam too.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I got buddies in South Dakota I'm gonna be hunting with. They got a YouTube channel called Prestige Outdoors. It's Corey Jonas and Foster Bartholow, and I'll be hunting up there for Miriam, and should get one there. And then I'm going with my buddy Corey Lair, that owns Monarch Hunting Products. I'll be going to a piece of private to just, it's not like a guided hunt or anything like that. It's just we going on private land and hunting turkeys in
Mhm.
Yeah.
Texas. Get a Rio there, and then obviously if I kill one here, that'll be the grand slam. So
It's
Awesome.
awesome.
That's
yeah,
great.
so we'll see. We'll see. It ain't gonna be the end of the world if I don't get it, but if I do, hey, great.
That'd be cool.
Well,
Yeah.
well, man, this has
My
been
goal
such
is
a
to get
fun
my first bird
conversation.
this year.
Who? What'd you say,
My,
Brad?
I'm trying to get my first bird this year here in Alabama.
Really,
So I've never killed a turkey, but would like to. So I'm gonna give it a shot.
brother? I'm gonna tell you, if that son of a gun, if you get out there and hear one gobble and he comes in strutting and drumming and putting that old long neck out there, and you blow his head off, are you married?
Yes, sir.
Warner.
Yeah.
I'm just Brian, have you ever killed a bird?
I've killed a few. Yeah.
Okay, well, if I mean, y'all are buddies, do him right. Warn his wife. Like, it's this whole deal about, after deer season and all, we're back now. It's like you get a brief February break and then it's right back at it for a month and a half. Okay, so
Yeah.
it will, Brad, it will control your life, buddy. I'm telling you. Yeah.
That was also a pretty funny video when you were doing like the calendar of like hunting
Oh, that
because
was
you were
it.
Oh,
yeah because you
yeah.
factored in like elk hunting and
Yeah.
all you know you gave this very small window to do
Yeah.
anything with the family.
Yeah. Well, and I got lucky with that, man, because I married a mountain girl from Washington State, and
Oh wow.
and so she is like she's great with me hunt. She didn't grow up around hunting, but she's still like she's great that I do it. I mean, she could have a feather on the side, but I mean it could be why. But she's good with me being gone.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I would love to do in the future is get a RV, and during the summer times when it's hot as Hades down here,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to me and her to and our boy go up through and like the Midwest and out west and stay gone for a month or two and fly fish
Mm.
and be out there and camp because
That's our
she's a big camper. I hate it.
that's our
I
that's
hate tent
our
camping.
favorite thing is fly fishing, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I've never done it before. I want to get into it,
We
and
got
I
we
just
got
don't want to get
O'Brien on
Mississippi.
we got O'Brien on his first redfish on a fly rod a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Jack in Alabama.
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
Dad, yum,
It
man.
was fun,
It's
It was
so
man.
funny when you look at Alabama and Mississippi. Just the way the states they side by side, they look like twins. But as soon as you cross over the line, you start getting into hills and rock mountains and everything, and it's
mhm.
just gorgeous,
Yeah,
you know.
Yep.
But that's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, man, this has been just great just to sit down and hear your heart and hear what you're doing and hear some of your story. And man, I just laughter is such good medicine, man. And sometimes it'll pull you out of a dark place. So that's a service I think you're doing that is a kindness to people that you make us laugh, and it's so good. And
Well,
and
I
I
appreciate you guys having me on, man. I really enjoyed it.
and I really the vulnerability that you showed and honesty that you showed is deeply refreshing. And when you say I don't have a great answer for balance or whether or not you've grown or not, through this process, you probably have grown a lot more than you realize. You probably maybe not reflected on your experience a lot more, but man, I think the way you're navigating your faith, navigating comedy, navigating, you know, your jokes, your videos and reels, I think it's pretty wise. I think it's hard to do, and I think you do it well. And man, how can people, maybe if they don't know you, how can people follow you?
Well, I appreciate that. All I will say to that is it comes from a little bit of Jesus, and it comes from a lot of being lazy, and it's just a lot easier just to tell the truth than lie. Okay,
Amen.
but they can if you go on everything but Instagram, all you have to do is type in Trent Ellis, TrentEllis, and all the social media platforms will have a blue check mark on them. That's me. Instagram is Trent. I want to say it's Trent underscore Ellis 21. And
Okay.
I'll have a meta verified blue check
Mhm.
mark there. That'll be me. And then YouTube is me, Trent Ellis. I think right now I've got about 115,000 subscribers on there. And it's a picture of me looking off on the edge of a mountain. So that'll be it. But
There you
yeah,
go.
that's it. And if they want any kind of merch or something like that, I've got badluckhunting.com. They can go on there and get them a shirt or a
Nice.
hat or a sticker or something like that. So,
Nice. Well, I'll make sure all that's in the show notes, man.
man,
Man, I
I
really
appreciate it.
appreciate you sharing, and man, I hope this inspires people to go to look and find the funny in life, to share some adventures, write some stories in the place we love to call the Storied Outdoors, because that's where the stories happen.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all
Hey,
for having me on.
thanks, Trent.